I feel that each woman should be having a diary, a hard copy, which helps you understand your pattern. And that's how you start respecting time, and time is going to respect you in double fold.
I think guilt is a very common feeling when we see that so many tasks are, unfinished or incompleted in our list. We might feel overwhelmed that, I have so many things pending. But when I allow myself to check in with that emotional and, things that you mentioned about physical and emotional check in, I might be able to forgive myself more easily also.
Give time to yourself every day, come what may. Because giving time to yourself is all about self love and self care, and it's not about being self centered. Remember that.
We all know that time management is one of the most rewarding skills that is capable of taking us far in our lives. But at some point in our lives, we all experience the woes of time management, work in our daily lives, somewhat in personal life or sometimes in professional life. So today we have with us Mrs. Riddhi Doshi Patel, who will help us understand tips for managing our time efficiently. She's a qualified child psychologist, parenting counselor, mental health practitioner, three times TEDx speaker, advisor to 16 TEDx clubs. She is the recipient of multiple awards, including the National Award and Young Entrepreneur Award. She is the founder of Lajja, India's first forum for women that focuses on women's development, growth, and self empowerment. Thank you so much for joining us today for this virtual conversation on time management, Riddhi.
Thank you so much, Urushi and Tanisha, for having me, and it's a pleasure.
So I think who better to kind of, you're a successful woman entrepreneur, you're managing so many things. I think beyond your professional life, you are a daughter and you have other responsibilities. So we'd want to know from you, how do you manage your time well and efficiently?
For me, time is money. Right from the beginning, the time. So I'm the fourth daughter to my parents, and we all four daughters. Our parents have just taught us one thing in life: respect time, and time will respect you. So for any occasion, for any interview, for any anything, any sessions, or even if I have a counseling session arranged at a particular time at office, I am there before an hour, so that I sink into that particular moment and then I start my work. So, how do I manage my time? For me, time is just a piece of diary for me. I write my to do every day. And when I'm writing my to do list every day, I ensure that my to do for the next 15 days or 1 month is also done, because when I'm scheduling appointments, when I'm scheduling a phone call with somebody, I write it in my diary. So that helps me to declutter my brain. But my diary is so strong that everything is written. Even if I have to give a call to my child's school at a particular time, I write it in my diary. So the desk, the in the morning itself, the diary is open on my desk, and that's how I know that this is the work I need to complete in a day. Sometimes what happens is that is beyond us. Something urgent comes up in my profession, being a counselor, or I have to cater to the social needs, like my family and all. Then there are a couple of things that is not catered to in from the to do list, and that's where the next day I write it carry forward. So I know that how many times I'm doing a carry forward. I know how much I'm procrastinating or how much I'm avoiding, and how much from the important quadrant or the urgent quadrant it comes to the very important and very urgent quadrant of time management. So this is something which is very self motivating, self understanding, and seeing the diary each day helps me understand my pattern also. So I feel that each woman should be having a diary, a hard copy, which helps you understand your pattern, and that's how you start respecting time, and time is going to respect you in double fold.
What a lovely sentence to say, right? Like time is going to respect you if you respect time. You
Absolutely.
mentioned some very interesting techniques about quadrant. This is something that we as mental health professionals recommend our clients and our users to use about, segregating your task into urgent and important. Or you mentioned about to-do lists. So it's interesting to know how you've bifurcated your week into these tasks and the areas that you're interested or working in. So when we talk about strategies, do you think it looks different for working professionals and it looks different for students? Or can we use the strategies, in a standardized manner? I mean, all of us can.
I personally believe it's a standardized way of working. It entirely depends upon us that what are the work we are into. Not much change for working professionals, not much change for students. It is, there are few things which, when we want to make the maximum of time, we need to understand that there are few things which we need to inculcate. A, no multitasking, and it applies to all age group, working, student, homemaker, everything. Do not multitask, because multitasking leads to um, misuse of time. I personally feel so. So if you have taken a task, finish that and then go to another task. Because a, if you are not synced into that particular task, you will not be able to give your 100%, and every mental health professional is going to tell you that. So it is important that you don't stress yourself but complete the task. Also, throughout the day, while you are making your to-do list, see what is on priority you need to complete. Whether you're a working professional or whether you are a student, there are some priorities that we all of us have in our life. So you need to check that what are the priority, what is your priority list, and you need to finish in that particular day. Address that first. Maybe there are some submissions, maybe there are some assignments, maybe an article to give, maybe some, if you're an HR professional, maybe an interview needs to be done, an interview needs to be catered to, maybe you have few meets which you need to complete on that particular day. So everything, every day has some priority list and we need to adhere to it. Third important thing is, every evening do a reality check. So it, everything, while I'm speaking, it might be sounding that, oh, it's time consuming, but it is not. 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening solves the purpose. Just 10 minutes. So 10 minutes before, an hour before you go to sleep, give 10 minutes, sit with your diary and do a reality check. Were the things that you scheduled for the day doable? Were they manageable? Were they practical? uh, did that need more time of yours than you had to give?
Right.
Were you okay doing it? Were you okay with your health? Were you in good energy level? Were you in good energies, or your level were proper? Were your mood levels proper? Was your emotion proper? And could you handle all the tasks properly? This reality check is very important for each and every human being, whether a working professional or whether a student. Also, fifth important thing is that regular breaks, even while you're working, is important. So every hour, take a 10-minute stroll and come back. That will increase your productivity. Not, if not 10, just take a 5 minutes break. Maybe go to, instead of having a glass of water on your desk, have it a little far, so that, put the bottle a little far so that you get up from your desk, go there, come back. That gives you a little momentum in the body, in the mind also. So it is important that you order to this choti choti cheeze, which will keep you, you know, which will keep your emotions balanced and which will keep your energies balanced as well. So it won't go overwhelming for you. And last but not the least, that is the sixth one, every Sunday give half an hour for your diary. When I say diary, so do an audit of the week that got completed and the week that is going to start. So you, when you start the planning for the next week, do an audit of the week that you just completed. That will help you to understand your own pattern, and that will help you put up a strategy on place, which will help you to increase your productivity and would not be a burden for your health, mental, emotional, physical, all three of them.
I mean, this is something which is very new. Up until now, whenever we look at task, we look at very achievement oriented perspective, right? We see it like if the task was completed or not. But when you're talking about reflecting over other aspect, which is physical, we look at the emotional aspect, we look at the psychological aspect, we see the task in a holistic manner. So we are able to also sometimes forgive ourselves, because I think guilt is a very common feeling when we see that the task is, so many tasks are unfinished or incompleted in our list. We might feel overwhelmed that I have so many things pending. But when I allow
Exactly.
myself to check in with that emotional and things that you mentioned about physical and emotional check in, I might be able to forgive myself more easily also. So
Absolutely, because sometimes it is beyond us to complete. Probably our body is not able to cope up with it, or probably our mental health is just needing a little more time or a little more relaxation, it's okay to give yourself that.
Yes, yes. That's very, very interesting, and I think important for us to remember. I think whether it's a student, whether it's a working professional, because we are always striving hard in today's time to, compete, to
Exactly.
accomplish and to achieve all that we have to, sometimes even beyond our capacity. That puts us in an exhausting space, and we move towards burnout. I think one last question that I would want to know, since you're playing these multiple roles, and it's interesting to know your perspective on them. So I'm sure you classify yourself as a working professional, but you have your personal life also. But every time when we talk about time management, we restrict ourselves to working professions. We only talk about this to people who are going for work or who are doing job. We really neglect the population. Those are homemakers who are doing such significant amount of contribution at home. But we don't really talk about the techniques or strategies that they can also follow at their level. So something that I'd want to know your reflection or probably some input on this bit.
As I mentioned, Urvashi, the strategies what I shared is for everybody. Whether you are a homemaker, I was a homemaker for 3 years. My child was a preterm baby, and I left all the work to give my time and to my child.
Right.
And I know this time management helped me to put a lot of things in practice. I could have some time for myself, which is a part of my self care routine. I could give time to my child. I could connect with my child. I could give time to my family members. I could have few outings as well. But it was a very planned version, a very planned way of working. The version was not very casual. The version was totally planned. So when it is planned, it gives you less stress and more enjoyment. I
Right.
personally believe so. And for all the homemakers, it is important that you, after your cooking and everything is done, after your husband leaves for office and after your child goes to school, please ensure that you give an hour to yourself, an hour to yourself wherein you do something which you love doing it. Maybe pick up a hobby, maybe do something which is your stress buster. Because whatever Dan and say, whether you're working professional or whether it's a homemaker, for both of them, um, things are not so easy to manage, both of them. And hence it is important that you do lot and lot of self-care. You give time to yourself before your husband comes back home and before your child comes back home, because you have a double duty. You are not only taking care of your child, your better half, the home, but you are taking care of their needs as well. Their social needs also you are taking care of, and plus you have a you have a responsibility of taking care of yourself.
Right.
So it is important that you respect time, give time to yourself every day, come what may. Because giving time to yourself is all about self love and self care, and it's not about being self centered. Remember that. So it's okay. अपने आप को टाइम देना बहुत जरूरी है.
Sounds incredible. I think that's something that I'm taking back from this conversation from you, Riddhi, that, there's a lot that even as professionals, even as mental health professionals, we miss out on certain things about self care, something that you talked about, self love. So I'm taking back all of that. I think our viewers, our listeners also are taking the same back from you or from your wonderful insights that you have shared. Thank you so much for taking our time for this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Urvashi. It was a pleasure, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you.